Hi, this is Sean. Welcome to GuitarReferenceGuide.com. Today's lesson I'm going to be taking you through the diatonic scale. We're going to be looking at a C major scale and an A minor scale. These are both diatonic scales. I'm going to teach you the names of the notes, and we're also going to discuss how to use these scales in different keys if you were need to use them. There's a free PDF of this lesson at GuitarReferenceGuide.com. The link is below. Just click on that. It'll take you to GuitarReferenceGuide.com. And there's also other free PDFs that are going to show you the different positions of the pentatonic scale. Today we're just going to look at one position starting from the 5th fret and from the 8th fret. So if you like what you see, please subscribe and let's get started. All right, so the C major scale is probably the most important scale in Western music. Chords, keys, everything is based on this scale. When you talk numerically, everything is based on this scale. When you see numbers, everything is based on this scale. So this is a really, really great scale to learn. So we're going to start at the 5th fret with our index finger and our pinky at the 8th fret. I'm going to play through a C major scale. I'm going to go through the notes and I'm going to go through the intervals, and then we're going to talk about an A minor scale. The C major scale is going to sound like this. So I'm sure you recognize the sound of that. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. Now, the diatonic scale is a 7-note scale, hence the word diatonic, 7-note scale. And starting from C at the 8th fret, the scale would work like this. We have the 8th fret is C, 5th fret is D, 7th fret is E, 8th fret is F, 5th fret is G, 7th fret is A, 4th fret is B, and then we're back to where we started at C at the 5th fret of the G. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1. C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. So lots of times when you see a chord and it says 9 or 13, it all traces back to this scale. Now, any numbers that would go above 7, or like say you'd see a 13, there's only 7 notes in the scale, so if you see something that says 13 or 9, you subtract 7 and that gives you your interval. So if I was to play the C major scale and I was to go, you saw something that said 9, that would really be 2. 9 minus 7 is 2. 1, 2. So that's one of the applications of the major scale, is that numerically the intervals follow chords, they follow everything. So one more time, C major scale. C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1. So if someone was to say to you, we're gonna play a song in the key of C, how would you use this scale? Well, the first thing you'd have to do is you'd have to memorize the scale. And the second thing you'd want to do is you'd want to memorize where all the C notes were within that scale, because that would be the key of the song, and that's a great place to resolve to when you're improvising or playing your notes. So if I was to play a C chord, I'm just going to put on my looper a C chord. I'm going to play through the C major scale a little bit so you can hear what it sounds like. Here we go. I got to loop it. Go. So if someone said to you, you know what, we're going to play a song, that's the key of C major. If someone said to you, you know what, we're going to play a song in the key of A major, you would literally just take your little finger and you'd say, okay, well, I know that this is C major. How would you get to the key of A major? You would take your pinky and you would need to find the A note on the low E string. So I would go, okay, C, B, B flat, A. And you would play the same notes starting from here. So now I'm going to play something in the key of A. So that would be the key of A. Now, all these same concepts would apply for minor scales, but before we get to the minor scales, let's talk about the step pattern of the major scale. So we have a C, a D, E, F, G, A, B, C. Well, knowing the step pattern also helps us recognize the scale on each string. If we were to work our way up and down the neck and we were to look at each string, the step pattern for a major scale would be something like this. We would have a whole step, do, re, a whole step, mi, fa, a half step. So we have whole step, half step, whole step, whole step, whole step, and half step. If I played from the A string, we have C, D, that's a whole step, half step is one fret, that's the F. 3 whole steps now, whole step, whole step, whole step, and whole step. So if you were to look from any place on the neck and you were to use the step pattern, you could find the major scale by using the step pattern, which is whole step, half step, 3 whole steps, and a half step. And that's back to where we start. So that would be your major scale. Now we're going to discuss the minor scale. Now the minor scale, the relative minor of C is A. Now to find the relative minor, the classic way that you learn in books is to go to the 6th degree of the scale. So if I was to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, that's my relative minor. My relative minor would represent the minor scale. Now the A minor scale and the C major scale, they have all the same notes. The only thing that's different about these two scales is where they start and where they end. So if I did a 2-octave major scale for you. So if I was to go to the 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and I was to play the same scale, but I was to start on A and end on A, that would give me my A minor scale. There's my A minor scale right there. Now you notice it has a very different sound. Even though we're playing the same notes, it has an extremely different sound. It's much more somber. So let's play over an A minor chord to see what the A minor natural minor scale would sound like. That's another name for it, is the A natural minor scale. So I'm just going to play A minor. Key of A minor. 4. And that'll be my A minor scale. So if someone's to say to you, you know what, we're going to play a song in the key of, say, G minor. You would just say, okay, well, I know where my A is. I know that this is my A minor scale. you would find the G note on the low E string. There's my G note. You would play the exact same scale, but just starting at 3. So something in the key of G minor. And that would be how you find the minor scale in a different part of the neck. You need to know the notes on the low E string. Now, one of the things that's most difficult about using the major and minor diatonic scales is to not sound like you're playing scales. That's why with most guitar players, pentatonic is the bread and butter. Most guitar players, myself included, the pentatonic scale just works really well because you're leaving two notes of the major scale out. So it sounds a little bit more intervallically interesting. It just doesn't sound like you're playing a scale. So if you're improvising and you're using a major scale, you need to be aware of that. Instead of just cycling through the scale, if you just cycle through the scale, it's going to sound like the scale. So I'd recommend learning your pentatonic scale and blending them, or even when you're playing through a diatonic scale, breaking up the step pattern. Maybe instead of doing this, maybe going from the 8th fret to the 5th fret to the 7th fret, trying different intervals. And not always playing all the notes within this. You could play the pentatonic scale too, skipping strings. Or not skipping strings, but skipping notes within the scale, or skipping strings. And that's going to make for more interesting ideas when you're improvising. One exercise that I think works really well is to play the diatonic scale than to play the pentatonic scale. So if you were to play the first 3 notes of the diatonic scale, if we were playing the key of A minor, then play a pentatonic scale, leaving out the F, then the diatonic scale, then the pentatonic scale, kind of breaking it up so you're not always just playing through all the notes in the scale, leaving some out. So I hope you enjoyed this lesson. I hope it made sense. So have a great day. Please subscribe. Please check me out at guitarreferenceguide.com, and a lot more videos to come.